Who is responsible for Taiwan's defense?
Part 40.
A sovereignty transfer via the Treaty of Taipei?
1. In May 2008, in Taiwan, after the newly elected KMT government came to power, President Ma Ying-jeou appointed a Miss M.H. Lin, who was a senior research fellow at the Academia Sinica's Institute of Modern History, to the nation's highest position in historical studies. That position is respectfully referred to as President of the Academia Historica.
After her appointment, Miss Lin organized a group of scholars to dissect Taiwan's legal status and solve the long-debated Taiwan sovereignty question. The group promulgated a number of conclusions, the three most important of which are:
1. When World War II ended in 1945, Japan, as an Axis nation, surrendered, and the ROC received Taiwan and Penghu as one of the Allied powers. Until the Sino-Japanese Peace Treaty of 1952, Taiwan and Penghu were ruled under military occupation with an unresolved international status. 2. Notably, the ROC's authority over Taiwan and Penghu as a military occupation was by no means unique. South Korea was another example. 3. Under the Sino-Japanese Peace Treaty of 1952, aka Treaty of Taipei, Japan renounced its rights to Taiwan and Penghu that it had gained under the 1895 Treaty of Shimonoseki. The ROC, as the other signatory, thus acquired sovereignty over Taiwan and Penghu.
In other words, in regard to Taiwan's territorial sovereignty, this group of scholars concluded that in the treaty, if one party renounced, that of course the other party received, despite the fact that the treaty did not make any such explicit stipulations.
They also stated that the content of Article 10 of the treaty fully supports such an analysis.
2. Some examination of the above points is warranted.
As a preliminary remark, it does not appear that the scholars involved in this research project studied the post-World War II treaties very carefully. As a result, they have come to some mistaken conclusions. We will offer some corrections as follows.
Correction number 1. In the Treaty of Taipei, it must be recognized that Japan did not renounce its rights to Taiwan in Article 2, rather Japan recognized its earlier renunciation in the SFPT. Correction number 2. Additionally, it must be recognized that under SFPT Article 26 the Treaty of Taipei is a subsidiary treaty. As such, its provisions cannot exceed those of the SFPT.
In other words, since the SFPT did not award the territorial sovereignty of Taiwan to the Republic of China, it would be impossible to conclude that the Treaty of Taipei contained any content which could be interpreted to give a different result.
Correction number 3. Moving on to a discussion of the Treaty of Taipei Article 10, Academia Sinica's researchers, even in previous eras, have traditionally stressed that the wording which says,
"Nationals of the Republic of China shall be deemed to include all the inhabitants and former inhabitants of Formosa and the Pescadores and their descendants who are of the Chinese nationality,"
and stated that this clearly espouses the fact that Taiwan has been ceded to the ROC.
However, a thorough investigation of the records of the Japanese Diet shows that such a conclusion is incorrect. 3. Specifically, it must be recognized that this phrasing in Article 10 is not an affirmative definition of the Chinese nationality of the Taiwanese people. Rather, this treatment of the Taiwanese people as ROC nationals is merely an agreement reached for the sake of convenience in regard to travel arrangements.
Undefined status.
On this point, Mr. Eiji Wajima, director of the Asian Affairs Bureau, the Japanese Ministry of Foreign Affairs, on May 23, 1952, told the House of Representatives Standing Committee for Foreign Affairs, in his capacity as government member, that the status of Taiwan remained undefined.
Importantly, however, since the inhabitants of Taiwan who were formerly Japanese nationals lost their Japanese citizenship, it was clear that unless some measure was taken, they would be stateless and not able to travel to Japan. Therefore, they were deemed to be Chinese nationals.
At the same committee on May 30, Mr. Kanichiro Ishihara, Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs, was even more explicit in his comments. He stated, "The word deemed is used here because the territorial issue has not yet been brought to a final resolution."
In other words, the members of the Japanese Diet did not recognize that Taiwan's territorial sovereignty had been ceded to the Republic of China in the post-war treaties.
Simply stated, with the coming into force of the SFPT and the Treaty of Taipei, the Republic of China did not acquire sovereignty over Taiwan and/or title to its territory.